I welcome you all to this webinar, which is jointly being hosted by Indian Federation of Green Energy and World Bioenergy Association on the topic perspective on the global biomass pellets market. Now, we've seen that there's a lot of inquisitiveness about in the pellet manufacturers and people who are in the pellet industry about the global biomass pellet market and about the exports of the pellet. This webinar will help you to understand the global and European biomass pellet market. What are the various opportunities and challenges in this sector, and what are the key standards and certifications which are being required? And it will also, in that, will help you to identify key markets for exporting the pellets and what is the potential there. We have, eminent speaker, Dr. Christian Rakos, with us, who is the president of World Bioenergy Association and also the former chairman of the European Pellet Council. So before starting, requesting Dr. Rakos to give his presentation, I would first request Mr. Subodh Kumar, who is the advisor to the national team IFG and also the former ED IOCL, to kindly give the welcome speech.
So thank you, Aman. Thank you. Let me welcome Dr. Rakos in this forum and other participants because this is going to be a very interesting session. The pellet market, the global pellet market, especially the Europe, is the market leader, and they were market leader in utilizing the pellets and all. And they are Europe is sourcing pellets from the outside Europe, and they are producing their own. So that will be very interesting to understand what the global market is behaving now, because in India we do have the biomass, not the woody one, but the agriculture waste kind of biomass, agriculture residue kind of biomass. But I'm also very keen to hear Dr. Rakos about the global picture and what are the dynamics are there. My background is from the oil industry, so we understand the liquid flowing here and there, and with the current scenario, the liquids are in problem. So what we can do with the solid fuel. So thank you very much, all the participants, and I congratulate IFG and International Global Green Energy Association for conducting this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Subodh sir. Before heading to Dr. Rakos, I'll actually request our Director General Sanjay Ganjuji to kindly give us insight about the IFG and WBA Association. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aman. So first of all, I am really delighted that Dr. Rakos could, finally give us his time and we could organize this webinar. I met him a couple of times before, and the last one we met was in Vienna, and I'm really grateful to him for spending an evening with me, though he had some emergencies in his, at his house. But in spite of that, he came and hosted me over a dinner also in Vienna, and he took me around the Christmas market in the month of December. And next day also, I had some wonderful meetings there in Vienna. So I had a great insight of what World Bioenergy Association is doing, and even what Austrian Bioenergy Association, Biomass Association is doing. So we found that there is a lot of synergy that we can drive with while working together. So we have signed an MOU with World Bioenergy Association, and we feel that the mutual cooperation will benefit both the countries and both the countries' industry at large. And we will be there's a lot of opportunity to learn from them as to what they are doing there and what we can emulate from there. And particularly when it comes to the technology, when it comes to the standards and the usage of biomass. And obviously, World Bioenergy will also have, gain certain things from India while working with us. So this was actually the first step after that signing of MOU to have organized a webinar. And I'm sure this association will continue and strengthen by the day. And we will definitely participate in each other's activity and seek, each other's learnings and understand what each one of us are doing so that the industry benefits at large. So, with these words, I don't want to stretch it further because we want to listen from Dr. Marcos Rakos, and I hand it back to Aman so that the proceedings can further be conducted in the
Thank you, Ganjoji. So, I would request, as Ganjoji previously mentioned, to all the participants, if they have any questions, kindly type in the message box. We will actually take care of those questions. I will, will ask those questions to Dr. Rakos. So, now I will invite Dr. Rakos for his insights about the global as well as European biomass pellet market. So, Dr. Christian Rakos was born in 1959, studied physics, philosophy and history from 1988 to 1998. He worked at the Institute of Technology Assessment of the Austrian Academy of Sciences. In 1998, he joined the Austrian Energy Agency, where he was responsible for renewable energies with a special focus on bioenergy. From 2005 to 2024, he was executive director of the Austrian Pellet Industry Association, Pro Pellet Austria. From 2010 to 2016, he served as the president of the European Pellet Council. Since May 2020, Dr. Rakos is president of the World Bioenergy Association. I request Dr. Rakos to kindly give us insight about the European pellet market. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be joining this webinar together with IFGE, and I will start sharing my screen. Does that work okay for everybody?
Yes, Dr. Rakos.
Okay, excellent. So my task is to give you a little bit of an impression on how global pellet markets have been developing, how they are developing currently, and I will also speak a little bit about the role of pellet quality in the marketplace. So the first slide I'm going to show you gives you an overview of global pellet production over the last bit more than 20 years. And what you can see is there really has been a very important growth of pellet production globally from almost nothing, from a few million tons, to a market that is now exceeding 45 million tons. I have to add at this occasion that these numbers do not include the numbers from China, and that is a pity because China is, in the meanwhile, likely the largest global pellet producer with a production that will at least be of a similar size as the European production, but there are no official statistics on Chinese pellet production, and that is why they are not included. But you can estimate that it is something between 20 and 30 million tons on top of what you can see in this graphic. The main production regions are green Europe, yellow Asia, and reddish North America. These are the main production regions, with Europe actually leading global pellet production. You can see now here global pellet consumption, and it shows that consumption is even more focused on Europe. So not taking into account China, almost 3/4 of global pellet consumption is happening in Europe. You have the EU 27, half of global pellet production, other Europe 23%. That is mainly the United Kingdom that has left the European Union a couple of years ago. And they are also a very important consumer of pellets. The rest, 25%, is going to Asia, and basically it is going mainly to South Korea and Japan. This shows you the global pellet consumption by type of use, because we have quite different types of use, and these different types of use also have different dynamics, as you will see shortly. So the large green part is European small-scale heat applications. In Europe, there are hundreds of thousands of households that are using pellets as a fuel to heat their homes. And I have to probably remind you that we have very cold winters in Europe. So heating is a very important, actually the largest energy use of private households. And this is where quite a significant amount of global pellet consumption is going to. The next large piece is going to industrial use in Europe. And when I say industrial use, it's mainly for power. In some areas, in Northern Europe, for example, it is also combined heat and power in large plants that provide also heat to district heating systems. And finally, a part that has been growing particularly dynamic is the Asian industrial use, mainly for power production in South Korea and Japan. And then there is a little piece of rest of the world, that's 5%. That is, again, for domestic use. For example, in North America, there is some amount of domestic use. Now let's look at the dynamics of these different markets. And you can see that the largest market is the blue line. This is the domestic heating market. And this blue line is gradually growing. It's not growing very dynamically. It is also growing with ups and downs. And these ups and downs are to some extent also caused by climatic variations, because winter temperatures have a very strong impact on how much pellets are being used. So this is the blue line, that's European heating pellet demand. The next line, that is approximately the same size of overall demand, is European industrial pellet demand. You can see that the European industrial pellet demand has been going through some fluctuations that were caused by various influences, such as market situation, also technical issues at major consumers, and they have been recovering more recently. And finally, the red line that is showing very dynamic growth is Asian industrial demand, mainly in Japan and South Korea, as I mentioned. So, what role do torrefied pellets play in this market? Because I have been only talking about wood pellets so far. Torrefied pellets currently have no role in the market. There has been a lot of talking about torrefied pellets for as long as 15 years ago. It has been over and over praised as a better solution for power production. But it turns out that it's less easy to produce torrefied pellets than was assumed in the beginning. Process control is very, very critical and not easy to realize. But also logistics are difficult and pose significant safety issues. Torrefied material is very brittle. It's very difficult to compact it and to transport it. it causes a lot of dust, and dust can explode, as you're probably aware, and that is the safety issue. So overall, also, of course, costs are relevant and are significantly increased by the torrefication process. Nevertheless, I think fair to say that a first generation of commercial plants is now being established, and we will see how this market is going to develop. My personal view is that, particularly in the case of India, where paddy straw is really difficult to handle because of its abrasiveness, maybe the gasification instead of torrefication might be a better opportunity for co-firing. But that's just a side remark, because I understand that there are issues with untorrefied biomass in coal-fired power plants when they come from agricultural residues. Now let's talk about the prices, and I'm sure this is going to be of particular interest for many of you. Obviously, prices depend very much on markets, but what you can see here in this price development over the last 10 years is that prices do develop relatively in parallel over the different markets, the industrial market, the domestic use market. They do interact, and they show overall comparable dynamics. What stands out is, of course, the peak of prices that we saw after the Russian invasion in Ukraine, because alongside with this invasion came the cut-off of Europe from Russian gas deliveries, and that kind of sent a shock wave through the European energy system that included also at that time pellets as an energy fuel that suddenly became extremely scarce, and prices were exploding. There was panic in the market. And it took some time, but not too much time actually, to come back to reasonable values. The dark blue line on the bottom of this graph is the line of industrial pellets. So these are the pellets that are being used in power plants, mainly at the shore of the Atlantic Ocean, whether it is in England or in Europe or in Northern Europe. This price indication is delivered to an ARA port CIF. The other prices, for example, the red line shows you the German residential heat, which is, I think, the largest residential heat in Europe. This red line you can see is significantly higher, but it does follow similar dynamics. You can see these ups and downs are also seasonal. So in winter season, prices are usually higher than in summer season because there is a higher demand. So the current price points, and that's maybe easier to digest, in February 2026 for industrial wood pellets, CIF Amsterdam, Rotterdam, or Antwerp were between $210 and $220 per ton. This price is in dollars because most of the imports of industrial pellets come from North America. Industrial wood pellets free on board in Vietnam, which is currently the largest producer of industrial pellets in Asia, is $150 to $155 per ton. So you can see these are very competitive prices. And obviously, they don't include the transport to the power plant, and for that reason, they are somewhat below the values for industrial wood pellets coming from North America. And finally, wood pellets for domestic heating that are EN Plus certified, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. That's 422 euros per ton or 486 euros per ton. So you see there is a huge difference. Domestic heating pellets are traded at much higher prices. Please do take into account that these are prices that include value-added tax of about 20%. And of course, the costs for delivery to small-scale customers, which is adding a lot to the cost. But still, ex-works prices in Europe right now for quality certified wood pellets for domestic use are quite high. Nevertheless, pellets are still quite competitive. I'll show you here the price development of pellets. Is the green line of heating oil, red line, and of natural gas, yellow line, over the last couple of years. In Austria, Austria is a country with a very well-developed pellet demand, domestic pellet demand. We are the country with the highest per capita use of pellets, I think, worldwide. So pellet heating is quite well established. And you can see here that there is an economic reason for that. And that is that pellets, even at prices of 400 euros per ton, are still a lot cheaper than heating oil or gas. Actually, today, pellets cost half as much as natural gas here as a heating fuel. So that is why they are quite popular. And that situation is quite typical for markets across the world. So pellets are a competitive fuel if you compare them, at least for household size demand compared to oil or gas. Let me talk a little bit about the differences between the markets for domestic use and for power production. These differences are considerable. First of all, the power markets depend very much on legal requirements or subsidies because pellets for power production cannot compete with the power production from other sources of energy for various reasons, because the effort to bring the biomass there is significant. The effort to collect it, to process it is significant. And that makes it more difficult to produce and generate electricity. For heat generation, there is a clear commercial viability. And that is also related to the fact that with heat generation, you are actually using the entire energy that is in the biomass. With power generation, you only use about 1/3 that is converted into electricity, and the rest is basically waste heat that is very often not being used. And that adds a lot to the commercial viability, both for industrial heat generation and for domestic heat supply. Of course, quality requirements are also quite different. You already noticed that I have been talking about wood pellets most of the time until now, and that is because this raw material is in abundance in Europe. It's in abundance in many other places. For example, in North America, there are huge areas of forests, and these forests produce very large amounts of timber that are being processed, and the processing residues are then turned to pellets and shipped to Europe. So quality requirements for power, a part of usually referring to wood as a raw material, are different because the power plants need very fine milled pellets from very fine milled material in order to be able to burn them in their powder burners. Something I understand is also quite widely used in India. On the other side, the durability of pellets, the mechanical properties of pellets are more important for domestic use because the households don't want to have a lot of dust in their basements where they're storing the pellets. They want pellets to be nice and hard, so they stay in their form. They want pellets to have a very low ash content because they don't want to remove ash so frequently from their heating systems. And there are a couple of other requirements that are different in the power and in the heat sector. Nevertheless, we see a significant number of producers that are delivering pellets both to power and to heat markets, depending on the market situation. And in that way, there is a coupling of the two markets. Obviously, the scale of individual customers is a lot larger, and that also brings some risks, if you like. The risk on the industrial market is that the power plant has some maintenance issues and goes out of production. If that power plant consumes several 100,000 tons per month, you can imagine what that does to the market. It just creates an immediate oversupply of pellets and market fluctuations that are considerable. In the heating market, the risk is not the risk of offtake, but the climatic risk. You may have a very mild winter, and then prices would fall considerably at the end of the winter. You may have a very harsh winter, and you may find that there is not sufficient pellets available. Prices go up steeply. So there is some dynamics in both markets, but dynamics are quite different. And obviously, the technical challenges are different, but I'm not going to go into details here. One thing I wanted to point out to you is, I mean, we are all now experiencing an emerging energy crisis of a scale we have not seen for many decades. And households also in India are going to be significantly affected because they usually use, or many of them use, LPG for cooking. And that is why I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that pellets are a great alternative to LPG if you have the right cook stove. The World Bioenergy Association is also very engaged in promoting the use of pellets for cooking in Africa, which is very much dependent on charcoal and firewood, with significant implications on health, on overuse of resources, etc., etc. And these gasifying cook stoves that are also being produced in India, by the way, are a wonderful way to use pellets and to offer a low-cost alternative to LPG. So that is something that might be of interest now, particularly in the emerging situation we have right now. Now, let me talk a little bit about quality. I mentioned that the real high prices that you can get in the domestic heating markets are strongly related to quality requirements. And in this context, a certification became very prominent in Europe, which we call EN Plus certification. It's a certification that is managed by the European Bioenergy Association. And you can see that the amount of certified pellet production has been increasing tremendously over the last 15 years. It is now stabilizing simply because the market is saturated. So 70 to 80% of the entire domestic market are using this certification. And the rest is basically locally produced pellets from local producers that know their customers and customers that know their local producers. So they are confident they will get the right pellet quality. But as soon as pellets are kind of exposed to trade or distributed by larger players, they all use the certification. We also saw a surprising distribution of this certification. So you can see the orange countries are all countries that have some certified pellet producers in the meanwhile. And you can see this is covering very large areas. It includes obviously North America, South America. It includes Asia, China, Japan, Indonesia, and even Northern Africa, part of Europe. So it's widely used. The qualities that are being certified are to a large part the so-called A1 quality, which is the highest quality class, referring to an ash content of only 0.7%. So you can see very low ash content, only achievable with very clean woody residues. A2 is referring to an ash content of 1.2%. So you already see a lot less is being sold as A2. And finally, B quality is, I think it's 2.5% ash, is only minor in the amounts that are being traded. Basically, I mean, and that is something I think that is really universal. Energy products must have a specified quality. That's the European experience. The market really started to grow. It actually tripled after the introduction of the certification scheme. And that is simply because if you have a tradable commodity, you must be confident that you get a certain quality. And that is it is reasonable because the equipment needs to have a clearly defined quality and may not function properly if the quality is changing. It is essential for tradability. So can you trust the trader who sells you, who is kind of ensuring that what you pay is also what you get? So tradability is strongly dependent on certification. And obviously, customers also want to know what they get. The quality management of power plants, however, is working quite differently from the market for commercial heat. And that is because power plants receive very large deliveries and always have tests, laboratory tests of the delivered material, because in large batches, this is easily realizable. But it would be impossible for every household to send its pellets to a laboratory to find out if they're good or not. That's not the feasible way to go forward. And that is why the quality certification is based fundamentally on the quality management of producers and of the monitoring if the producers are implementing their quality management system in a consistent way by third-party inspection, basically. So that includes a strict control on the raw material quality, a strict control on production parameters, an ongoing analysis of the pellet quality that is being produced. Just a few words to the most recent developments. I already mentioned the oil crisis that is starting to build up and will, I'm afraid, profoundly affect the next time in front of us. I believe it will very likely increase the interest in alternatives, and it will increase the political focus on energy independence and local supply. And I think that's a great opportunity for us in the bioenergy sphere. This is what we can offer. This is what we can what we stand for. That is energy independence and a local supply of fuel. But it is really essential to develop to a professional sector that is able to deliver consistent quality and to also deliver reliably, because supply security is really fundamental. And that is something that we have also been struggling with in Europe over the last decades, simply because of this seasonal changes that can be significant and that really force also producers to keep enough pellets in store to kind of deal with fluctuations of demand and supply. Thank you very much, and I'm very open for questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Rakos. I think that's a very insightful presentation, to cover a variety of aspects, for the interest of the audience here. Started from the torrefied pellets and then different applications. And then you talk about pricing of pellet, which is very important, that, what kind of potential is there, then the importance of quality, standards and certifications. And I think what you mentioned towards the end of your presentation, the recent crisis. The recent crisis actually showcase what is how much fragile the global energy supply chains are. We at IFG have already, worked and suggested government a lot of measures for the same things, and I think this will definitely increase the focus on renewable and alternate energy of various governments, so that they can actually be more robust energy supply chains. So now I would actually invite our BGF chairperson, Shri Satish Upadhyay ji, who is also the ex-ED of fuel management at NTPC, as well as the mission director for Samarth mission, and is a very, very, you can say, relatable personality in the field of biomass pellets in India, to talk about how the Indian pellet industry can take up the advantage of this pellet, global pellet market, and how they can enter. So over to you, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll be taking the global biomass pellet market and India's strategic opportunity in that. Actually, sir, this pellet industry has from niche alternative to structural pillar in global decarbonization. It is now taking that shape. At least in India, people have realized that. Oh, it's not good. Yeah. Sir, the global growth engine is being driven by decarbonization policies, coal replacement in thermal power plants, and renewable heating demand. So that is the drive which is actually happening. And these numbers actually, sir, I'm not as accurate as you, because I've just through the net search, I have now composed this slide. And the core insight being biomass serves as a critical transition biofuel, bridging the gap between coal and purely renewable grids, anchoring both energy security and circular economy. Till now, sir, actually, we had been talking about achieving net zero and green energy, but now another dimension has been added, that is energy security. So there is quite a good opportunity for us to market this. And the market metrics in Europe and emerging Asian core is that, as you have told, the demand center is Europe, and largely it is heavy reliance on imports from USA, Canada, Vietnam, and applicable in Europe, and district and residential heating being the predominant. And coal plant, actually, it is the biomass-based power plants are actually firing that. And sector is under increasing scrutiny regarding sustainability and sourcing practices, especially from Southeast Asia. As of now, sir, that what we read is that RWE case with the Danish government. And regarding the Asia and global, the untapped potential is that we have got a lot of biomass, and actually that has to be tapped. And for that, you have rightly told that we need to go for the capacity building so that we meet the requirements, means whatever quality certification and all. And you have rightly told that only professional pellet sector will be able to take advantage of these opportunities. So that is rightly actually I have captured. Yes, that is the way the Indian market has to become professional. Biomass is not just a supplementary fuel, it is a structurally significant to global energy architecture as of now. And navigating sector frictions are actually in India, we are having supply challenges. That is feedstock aggregation, seasonal availability, logistics cost. Which, but as far as my experience goes, that it is organically resolving because as the market demand increases, the things will be in place. And market volatility, price volatility is also the same thing, that direct cost competition with the cheap coal. For that, actually, India, it is very reluctant to adopt the pellet based heating and all. And policy and sustainability means, since strict certification requirements regarding quality and deforestation concern and carbon accounting, means these are actually our this one concern, that even the carbon accounting, whether we'll be able to get the carbon credits or not, all these things are still in the inception stage. So we want to see that how we can actually make use of this opportunity so that we become a productive economy at the same time. We export also, and in case we can gather some carbon credits. The problem is not supply chain, it is the demand. Actually, it is not the demand exactly, it is the sir, that offtake guarantees. In case a manufacturer is given offtake guarantees, I'm telling the market is going for a boom in India. We are almost ready, and we have already stabilized our process and all. And coming to professionalism, it will soon come. Miss, the moment the offtake guarantees are there, then there will be a lot of competition generated in the market, and the survival of the fittest will prevail. Creating new avenues and options in the industries is also becoming a bottleneck for the pellet industry, because there are many other competing areas like CBG, ethanol, and many other areas which are evolving now. And in our ecosystems, that we have started only in power plant, means predominantly we are firing pellets only in power plants. And there is a massive demand potential, estimated 35 to 50 million tons annually as of now, if you go for 5% co-firing. And air quality imperative is still there, and government mandate is required, and that is existing. So with this, actually, we are moving towards the pelletization. And overall biomass market is around 3.5 billion, and pellet specific market is 600 million in 2024, expected to double by 2035. Sir. And export prerequisite standards and certification, which you're talking about, we do have a set of 22 Indian standards which are actually aligned to that EN standards. But the certification parts are EN plus SBP, FSC, PEFC, and ISO. Regarding this, I would say that we have to qualify. And in this, actually, the transaction cost of qualification is high. So only niche people, 2-3 people are able to afford that. So in that, we'll have to look at how you can help us. And for that, I'll through one slide, I'll come to that also. And this will be the gateway to global market access. Sustainability and traceability resolves the European policy scrutiny, and buyers' confidence, that non-negotiable gateway to large-scale offtake agreements. So these are the 3 requirements for Indian markets, and through which I see that we can grow. The pivot from volume to high margin. Actually, incidentally, that pellet has become now a low margin business compared to many other startups who have come and who have started separating the cellulose and hemicellulose and lignin, because we are having predominantly agri-waste, and agri-waste is actually lignocellulosic and with high ash content. And these are the alternatives which people are finding, and they are creating products with very, very high margin and good profitability. So this is also one of the emerging area which will be replacing petrochemicals with the bio chemicals. So this is also it is also going to give a tough competition to us, in addition to whatever the conventional users are being used. And the retrofit, this value addition, this one is raw material. There's a pre-treatment. We break the cellulose and lignin and this one lignin, and after that we are getting into high value production. And then, sir, this is my slide that for collaboration with IFGE, what we desire from World Bioenergy Association. That, sir, first of all, we are predominantly dealing on agri-based pellets. So that is the first thing that actually we have to take care. And wood pellets, I'm sorry, the spelling mistake of pellets is pallets. Actually, it was all through AI, so sorry, it happened. Wood pellets discouraged in Indian market due to environmental concern and capacity building requirement for agroforestry, auditing and traceability. Because there are niche segment of agroforestry, but the auditing and traceability part is not very much actually reliable or established as of now. So government is actually encouraging use of agri waste predominantly as of now in India. In order to export, torrefied pellets seem to be better option. But as you told that they are anyway costlier and you have found out two, three more things you have informed us. So that becomes that is not very encouraging. And in addition, high ash content of Indian agri-based biomass pellets, a concern area. This is a very concerning area that our ash content is very high. And torrefied pellets do not qualify for carbon credit due to thermochemical process involved. So now I would request that actually with all this constraint, how you can help us that going global and at the same time our products also getting accepted for some niche use or in a particular segment. Means that will be good in case because we have got enough biomass and we can span over the world also. And in addition to that, for wood pellets and all, we will always be having in case as of now the exports are discouraged. In case they are encouraged, then definitely will join the stream. And request WBA first to consider partnering with IFG to take up capacity building initiatives for Indian market through IFG to qualify for EU certification traceability requirement. Because when this certification costs or transaction costs will come down, then more and more people will get interested and we can expand the market. Because as of now, we are relying only on Indian standards and we are using domestically. So to go international, we have to have that scale of capacity building, for which I look forward to with the World Bioenergy Association. And for that, sir, in case you could give me a checklist of what are the list of certifications required and all you can share with us to IFG so that we can come to know that this is the all requirement, how to become a professional supplier. And request us to include in the carbon credit for biomass pellet domain. That is the policy advocacy part in Europe. In case we can include the torrefied pellets, then it will be a great opportunity because the agri waste is exporting them as a agri biomass is not very good idea. And the new perspective of valorization of new biomass for high margin product is also being introduced by many startups. Apart from competing use of mass by CBG and 2G ethanol producers, now this new entrants are also there who are competing to use the biomass. Considering the speed to market and speed to exports on priority, means these are two things. The speed with which we immediately enter this market, that will be determining factor for our success. And India is a global biohub. We are transforming agri waste into high margin wealth. We are already generating employment and decentralized pellet clusters are being established. Energy security through pellets and even CBG and ethanol is also being achieved to some extent. It is not significant, but still we are making a mark. And environmental impact also, we are solving the stubble burning crisis as far as Indian context is concerned. That's all, sir. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish sir. I think thank you for your insights about how WBA and IFG can collaborate on different topics, and you touch upon various important issues like the origin traceability and sustainability proof, something which I actually would request Dr. Rakos to shed some light on that. And secondly, one more important thing, we'll definitely do a master class on the carbon credits for the pellet manufacturers. This is something IFG has already made representation under your leadership to the BE to include biomass pellets for the carbon credit program in India, the methodologies, and we are looking forward to the government to come up with the proper mechanism for the same. So, Dr. Rakos, there are a few questions which I would like to ask you on for the benefit of the audience here. There are a lot of questions regarding the origin traceability and sustainability proof, because in India, as Satish ji has mentioned, that the DGFT is looking to allow the pellet exports, and they are coming up with a separate HSN code for bamboo pellets, which are equally good as the wood pellets. But the problem is here is in India that the wood pellets are put into restricted category. So what kind of sustainability proof certifications the Indian manufacturers should look to get for exporting their pellets to different markets?
This is depending on the type of market you want to export to. If you want to export wood pellets to domestic heating markets, there are no requirements regarding sustainability certification. There are only requirements regarding the quality of the pellets.
Okay.
If you go to industrial customers or large-scale customers, there are sustainability requirements, and these can be met by various different certifications. I think they were mentioned already, and the most widely used one is the
EN plus.
No, that is a quality certification. The sustainability certification that is used by most of the European power plants.
It's SBP, Christian.
Satish, you mentioned it.
Yeah, I'm just referring my slides, sir. I'll just speak up after when I get that slide. I'll immediately, because there are 4 major certifications. Yeah, one is SBP, other is FSC and PEFSC.
SBP, sorry.
Yeah.
SBP, Sustainable Biomass Partnership. That is the certification that's most widely used. And I would just recommend you to go to the website of SBP and check the requirements. That's the easiest way.
So there are few pellet manufacturers which were actually requesting you to tell them what kind of capacity building programs and training resources do you recommend to the manufacturers from developing countries?
The Bioenergy Europe has been quite extensively building these capacity building measures. Basically, what is needed is to educate producers how they can monitor and enhance the pellet quality. That is, I think, the key, and that is something that could be realized by IFGE, for example. I mean, we're very happy to participate in such a program. We just need to pull together all the know-how that is there in the market and make that possible. But that is certainly, I think, the most useful thing that you can do to support the Indian producers is to educate them what measures they can realize to enhance quality.
Sir, I think one of my questions would be that India is primarily an agri-based pellet market, especially after the launch of the Summer Mission, which actually mandates the co-firing of pellets in thermal power plants. Now, since as Satish had mentioned that it's difficult to export wood pellets from India due to a lot of government restrictions, what markets are you suggest to the Indian pellet manufacturers to look for their exporting their agro-based pellets, which can be different crop residues, starting from mustard, groundnut, and different.
To be honest, that's not an easy request because in many cases the power plants that are currently using wood pellets are using them to a large extent. So they don't use 5%, they use in some cases 100%. And if you use agri pellets to 100%, you are very likely to get significant technical problems in existing power plants that are not purpose-built for these biomass types. And that is why I think the focus of Indian agro pellet producers should actually be to develop the market in India rather than to look for export markets.
Okay.
No, actually, the only alternative is that in order to export, we'll have to qualify our wooden pellets and develop our wood pellet market also.
I think, Dr. Rakos, very thank you for your insights. I think it must be highly insightful, highly beneficial for all the participants. But there are a lot of people are actually really want to export the pellet markets. I think I don't find any one better than you, because being heading the pellet pellet divisions at Wade Bioenergy Association. I think that's a very insightful session. Now I will request our Director General, Shri Sanjay Ganjuji, for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Aman. See, now the bioenergy, though it has, I always say that bioenergy has been a very old subject, but the commercial bioenergy and biofuels is a new subject. Since last 2 decades, maybe we realized its importance. And we are, in a process of finding different pathways. We are trying to find out new technologies. We are trying to find new usages. Even in Europe, when I met the World Bioenergy Association members and the Austrian Bio Association, so I also understood that there also this activity has grown traction since last decade or so. Maybe Ukraine war was also one of the important factors to push the sector. Yes, we are also talking about the climate change and the goals we have set to reduce the carbon footprint. So this sector has definitely a lot of attraction to be seen in the next few years or in the years to come. And we need to be prepared with our approaches, our responses, and I always say that there is a lot of research has to go into it. A lot of experience sharing has to go into it. A lot of knowledge sharing has to go into it. Then only we can, develop this sector. So this webinar was first step in that direction. After we signed an MOU with World Bioenergy Association, I am thankful to Dr. Rakos for being very positive to this association, to this mutual cooperation. And I'm sure in future also we will keep on organizing various programs, various activities together. We will collaborate on various activities which will benefit this sector, not only in India, but globally. And we can, gain from the experiences in the world. And they can also gain from experiences from India. I would also maybe propose in a future we can probably have an interaction with the industry from both the sides. Maybe from Europe we can have some technology players, some biomass producers, and similar set of people from India, and maybe we can throw it open for them to have a interaction over this Zoom or maybe any other platform. And then also we would like to have some physical interaction over a period of time. Maybe we travel to places in where you can support us and help us in gaining some experience through certain events. Or we would also like to invite your members, your team to come to India. In fact, in August, we are organizing one of our flagship events, India Bioenergy and Technology Expo. So we'll be happy if World Bioenergy Association collaborates with us in bringing in some delegation, speaking at the conference that we are organizing. So it will mutually benefit all of us. So not taking much time, I think we have already covered the allocated time that we had kept for this webinar. So I'm thankful to Dr. Rakos, President World Bioenergy Association, for his time and for his enlightening presentation. And I also thank my chairperson of the Biomass Global Associates Forum, Shri Satish Upadhyay, for his wonderful presentation. Subodhji, our advisor national team, for his welcome remarks.